At around midnight on March 3rd, 1991, Rodney King was spotted speeding on Freeway 210 and led the cops on a high-speed chase. At the time, he said that he was maybe going 100 miles an hour, and later admitted to going much faster. Official reports say that it was near 115 to 120 miles an hour during the chase. He was finally stopped and told to lay on his stomach, on the ground. As seen in the video, he is on his stomach and then stands up and bolts. After he bolts, the beating begins. The brutal beating lasted for 2 minutes. He can be seen struggling to move away from each devastating hit. However, the cops just kept swinging. There were multiple gruesome blows all over his body. At the end of it all, he came out of the beating with a broken cheekbone, 11 broken bones at the base of his skull, and a broken leg. The officers that took part in the beating of Rodney King were Sergeant Stacy Kuhn, Officer Lawrence Powell, Officer Theodore Berenso, and Officer Timothy Wind. About a year after the beating occurred, these officers were all tried in state court for assault with a deadly weapon and use of excessive force charges. They all, however, were acquitted of the charges in state court.
It's hard to be surprised when you felt that way the whole way. You're just hoping for the right decision. And because, I know I'm innocent, and that was the verdict.
This verdict most literally erupted the city of Los Angeles. Many people in Los Angeles, mainly being black, were infuriated that the police officers that had done this racial and civil injustice were being acquitted of all charges. The riots began that night. As seen in the video footage, whole buildings, blocks, and even neighborhoods were set on fire. The police did the best they could to control the chaos, but by the end of the night, nearly the whole city was in complete chaos. Many people that were not initially involved in wanting to riot joined in when the opportunity presented itself. For many of the following days, there were continued fights, mobs, torchings, and lootings. Here's a short clip to show you just how chaotic it really was. The Rodney King riots of 1992 lasted for a span of 5 days, leaving more than 50 people dead and more than 2,000 people injured. About a year after the riots, and just over 2 years after the beating had occurred, the 4 officers were tried for civil injustice in the federal courts. Sergeant Stacy Kuhn and Officer Lawrence Powell were found guilty, and each had to serve a 30-month sentence. The people of LA, as well as Rodney King, were finally able to be at peace with what had happened that night, on March 3rd, 1991.